So my plan for my new project is to try and make a friction folder. I've made one friction folder before, so I know roughly what it's about, but there's some changes I want to do. I drew this in Paint, so it's not completely accurate or anything, but this is where it's gonna spin, and when it closes, it's gonna close like that. The problem is that this is gonna be a metal piece to hold everything together, and when it closes like this, the edge of the knife is gonna be hitting the metal, and which is gonna dull it eventually. So I need to make a pin somewhere in here, probably make a little groove right at the edge here, which will fit with the pin so that the knife will stop where it's just gone in instead of hitting the edge. We'll see if I'll be able to do that, but for now I gotta cut out all of these pieces, and I'm gonna cut it out of this old circular saw blade, which I've been using for a lot of projects. So what I'm gonna do is just draw around this paper cutout. It doesn't have to be perfect, I just need it to show right about where I gotta cut. So when I cut it, I'm not gonna cut it straight down to the inside of the line. I want to cut it to the outside of the line at least, so that I have enough material to file it down to the correct size later. Yeah, and that should be good. Alright, so at this point I've cut it out, and now I'm gonna throw it into the forge, heat it up and let it cool down slowly, which will soften the steel and make it easier to work. Alright, so I've taken away most of the rust and scale and stuff like that, and you can see that one side, this side, is way more heavily eroded and rusted away than this side. I guess this side has been facing the dirt or something when it's been on the ground, but I'm not too worried about that. I usually like leaving a bit of this rough stuff at the spine of the knife. Alright, so I've gone over with the template again, and I've marked the outside edges of what's going to be the blade. So what I'm going to do now is take a hacksaw, which I have here. I have two. They're both kind of dull, but oh well, we'll see. And I'm going to just rough this out. You know what? I'm just gonna use the angle grinder. Okay, so next thing I'm gonna do is go around the whole thing with the file and clean it up and get it to the finished shape. Alright, I'm gonna center punch the hole where I'm gonna put the pin. That's about right. Alright, so now we have come on. A little hole there so we can drill. There we go. Then we can start focusing on the edge. Alright, so I'm just gonna draw roughly how I want the edge to look. It's probably not gonna end up looking exactly like that, but we'll give it a shot. Kinda want it to have not a very steep edge, something like that. Should be good. So first I'm just gonna go into the corner and I'm gonna establish that first, and then it's easier to focus on this without going too far in here and not getting a nice and neat start off the bevel. Actually, no, you know what? Totally forgot. We gotta make a center line down here. Totally forgot about that. So before I actually scribe in the center line, I'm gonna make the edge here a little bit. I'm gonna send it up to a little bit of higher grit. I just find it's easier to see the line when it's not so rough here. Alright, that's probably okay. And then I'm just gonna deburr it with the file. So now what we're left with is the line that's pretty much dead in the center. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it just helps you when you're grinding or filing to keep the edge straight. So like I said, I'm just gonna establish this part here first. There we go. I gotta just watch out so I don't do it too deep, but this is enough. That just helps me, it helps the file stop so that I don't go too far when I'm filing the rest of the knife. So I'm gonna file, and I'm gonna use the angle grinder and clean up with the file, because the angle grinder doesn't leave a very even edge. The file, I have better control. Alright, so now that I've got the bevels in, I'm gonna go over with sandpaper and remove all of the scratch lines. This will be way easier to do now than after I heat treat it. Alright, so I've taken this to a higher grit. I've taken it to 120. The next step is to quench it and heat treat it. I also cut out this, which is gonna be the thing that will stop it. This is gonna be a different angle so that it fits with that. Alright, so I'm just gonna heat it up, focus on the edge, and quench it. Yep, it's good. So I've just taken off I've exposed the metal underneath the surface again, and I'm gonna temper it. Don't have a oven for it, so I'm just gonna use the torch and carefully get it up to the right temperature where we get some color in the blade. Hopefully not overheat it. cool it off. So you can see that some areas got a little bit hotter than the others, but I'm not too worried about that. Now I'm gonna go up the grits again. I'm gonna take it to a little bit of a higher finish until I'm satisfied with it. I'm not gonna completely polish it because I want to etch the blade after in some acid. I have some ferrochloride that I'm gonna put it in just to give it a nice color. Alright, so the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut out these two pieces, which is the scales or handle scales that will hold everything together. I'm thinking I'm gonna do these two steel pieces, and then I'm gonna put some wooden scales on top of that, probably. I'm not sure. I'm gonna see. Alright, so I've cut out these two pieces here, and they're roughly the shape they need to be, and this piece I've cleaned up, which will be going in the back here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to clean all of these surfaces, and I'm going to be drilling the holes so that I can put all of these together, and I can shape them so they all fit together perfectly. And then, of course, the blade will be going here somewhere. Alright, so everything is now ready. Just cleaning this off a bit. I'm gonna super glue everything together now, like this, so that I can drill the holes without anything moving around. That's just some super glue accelerator. I'm gonna just spray on some oil and let's drill. Alright, I've also been thinking about the scales that I want to put on here. I want to put some wooden scales on, and in order to do that I don't want to use these 4 holes just on the back. I would like to have 2 other pins that goes not through the whole piece, but only from this. Show better, from this and through the piece, so it wouldn't go all the way through, only from the one scale and out, and equal on the other side. I'm not really sure how to do that, how to get it secured, but I'm gonna drill the holes now. If I end up not using them, it probably won't matter that much anyway. Alright, so now I'm gonna figure out where the pivot hole for the knife blade is gonna be. So I've put this back in just with some nails, and I'm gonna figure out where this needs to be. You see it's gonna be right about here somewhere. Let's see, that looks pretty good. Yep, I'm happy about that. There we go. We got ourselves a hole So now we'll actually be able to see if this will actually all fit together the way I want it to. So I'm gonna put this back on. I'm gonna put the blade here. Alright, let's see now. When I close it, you see it all goes inside. But you can see right here that the edge of the knife is hitting the metal piece here. So what I'm gonna try to do in order to counteract that is I'm gonna put somewhere in here, I'm gonna put another hole and another pin like this that will stop the blade from going all the way in, so that it will stop with a little bit of a gap there. I've accounted for that by making this groove so that there's actually it won't stop too early here, but we can put some a little pin here. I've never done that before, so I'm not sure exactly how to do it, but I'm gonna try. I think by looking at this that it should be placed. Let's see, what I'm gonna do is put a mark where this little corner here is, so we know all the space that we have to work with. We know the knife doesn't go in the way anymore. So if we put a pin, like if we actually put a pin right here where this piece will fit, it will stop the knife before it comes here, and then we'll just file a little groove here to make it fit exactly where we want it, because obviously we want this point to go inside, but we don't want it to actually hit. So I'm gonna drill that now. And you can see that it's already stopping the blade here. So we're gonna have to file a groove in here in order to get the blade to close. And when I file it, I want to make sure I don't take too much off, because then obviously it's not going to do anything and it's going to be hitting this piece anyway. But I'm going to do that in the next part. There's going to be 2 parts. I believe I should be able to finish it in the next video. So if you want to see the next part, please consider subscribing and all that good stuff. And I'll probably leave the link for it in the description or on the screen somewhere.